What's up everyone, Chlorine King here, welcome back for another video. I get this question all the time, and it doesn't matter if it's a new client that I just took on, it could be during the initial estimate, it could be during an inspection client who, I see the pool for the first time ever for about an hour's time, or it could be a seasoned client. I get asked this question all the time, is my pool leaking? I don't know. I'm not there all the time to capture the trends that are happening when I'm not there. Keep in mind guys, your pool professionals are only there for 30, 45 minutes to an hour each week, and unless there's something very obvious while we're there, we can't tell if the pool's leaking unless you run, a leak detection. There are a couple things you guys can do to help see if you guys are leaking, your pool's leaking, but before we get to that point, a normal evaporation rate for the atmospheric conditions is roughly 3/4 of an inch per week. So if you're losing 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of water a week, I'll be willing to bet your pool's leaking, unless you have someone my size that's out there jumping and doing cannonballs all day long. Naturally, when you have splash out, you're gonna have to add water. Doesn't mean your pool's leaking at that point. So with that said, a couple things you guys can do before you go and order a leak detection is see if your pool's leaking through a bucket test. That's a very simple test you guys can do, and basically what that does, you get a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket, you put it inside your, on top of your top step in your shallow end, and you fill the inside of the water to the same level that is on the outside of the bucket, so that way they're at the same level. And if you notice over time, a couple days, that the outside water levels is dipping lower than what's on the inside of the bucket, then somewhere your pool is leaking. At that point, where do you start looking? Well, first thing I would do is go over and look at the equipment and see if there's anything major or obvious. Is water gushing out of your filter or your pump? A drip leak can actually add up to quite a bit. If that's not there, the next thing you guys can do before you order a leak detection test is just let it see where it settles down to. Most leaks are normally in the skimmer or the light niche. That's where the majority of leaks are, at least in my experience that I've seen. So if you let the water settle and you notice it's not leaking anymore, within a 3-day period you're not noticing any water loss, that's probably where your leak's at. If it's if it's an inch or so below the skimmer box or right there, right at the very bottom of the skimmer box, it's probably somewhere in the skimmer, and then you can look closely to see if there's any cracks or any obvious signs there. If the water goes down below the light niche or light ring, about an inch below the top of the light ring, you probably have a leak in the niche, right where that gasket goes through the conduit, goes through the niche and over to the junction box. So those are a couple of things you guys can do. Also, any obvious cracks would be a good sign of a leak might be present there. None of that works, order a leak detection company. They'll come out with all their specialized sonar equipment and do a full leak detection test and repairs. So hopefully that guys helps. It's really hard for us to go out there for a couple minutes, look at the pool and say, oh yeah, your pool's leaking. That's like someone saying, oh, I can tell your water's balanced because I just tasted it, it's fine. It doesn't work like that. You need to study the trends and see what's going on if you have a lot of swimmers or anything else we just previously talked about. So hopefully that answers your guys' question. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. And I hope you all had a safe and happy 4th of July, and we'll see you next video.